Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know what this is. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks.
And we ate Chris's Mother's Day present. That was
Yes,
very
thank you
good.
Very much. It was delicious.
And thanks for sharing, Mom,
Yeah.
with us. Well, I mowed right before we left on our trip, and you'd think we'd been gone for a month or two. Man, almost gonna need a baler for this. We're up behind the house today, walking in the forest, and guess what's happening? All sorts of wild iris in bloom. Also coming in is the witch's broom. Well, today on the farm report, we're actually going to do a lawn report. We're working on this fence line at the edge of the yard, which has a tendency to overgrow every few years with what's existing here, and it actually takes a little while to clean it up. I'll show you what we got going on here. Now, the first thing I like to get out is this is a blackberry, and those get way out of hand. I've already kind of been through this section up to about here, mostly on the other side, but there's still a few remnants. That's a blackberry. And as we move on down here, there's even more. See, poking out of the top of this is a bush that can stay. But poking out the top, that's a blackberry. Blackberries, if you live in Western Oregon, Northwest Oregon, blackberry, you kind of understand the journey. They come up in the middle of thickets. They grow anywhere. The birds eat them, spread the seeds around all over the place. They come up from seed, they come up from root. They'll send out long runners. They can grow, these runners will grow, maybe 15 or 20 feet, and then they hit the ground somewhere, and they'll root right where they hit the ground. So they just propagate like crazy. And you can kind of see this dry stuff over here, last year's stuff going crisscross there, all black, old blackberries. Some new stuff coming up over in that area, blackberries. Now, another thing we got going on in here is kind of 40 years of landscaping. Dad did a wonderful job of planting a lot of stuff out here because he loved things being green. We have, at one point, he had this whole fence line around the house pretty much surrounded by climbing roses on a fence. And there's still some remnants of that. Like these guys that are growing real tall here out the top of this holly bush. The holly I want to keep. The roses growing way tall and leggy like that, coming up out of the middle. I think it's time for them to go. They don't really bloom anymore. They just grow and be green. In this mix, we got still more blackberries. So lots of stuff to kind of weed out of there. In the middle of all that, we have some really nice stuff, like check out these columbine. They're just starting to bloom. I like columbine. So every year we have a little discussion. About the time I whack this off, have a little discussion. Should we just try to keep weeding this and nursing it along? All of this, by the way, nice batch of daylilies in here. They'll bloom in a month or two. They'll look really nice. Do we leave it here, or do we just try to pull out the old fence? And of course, getting the old fence out, that'd be something too, because you got old kind of rotted out 2x4s, and you also have woven wire that once upon a time kept the dog in the yard. And all of that is intertwined with all this vegetation growing in and out of it, so you can't just, yank it out of there real easy. And most of the things you'd use, you can't just go in and use a chainsaw either, because the metal fence will foul that. So it's a long, kind of tedious process, but we keep chipping away at it. Last year I tackled this section, and you can see those junipers that look so bad, they're starting to grow back. Give that a couple of years and I'll be having to come out with the hedge trimmer again. This little bit of sumac we liked, although we lowered it a bit because it was growing up pretty tall. Decided that could stay. There's one of those roses. I said they didn't blossom, but I might have lied. There's a couple. They don't blossom well. It's not real healthy rose. And then in this section, boy, that's needing some immediate attention too. Roses growing up real tall. Huge blackberry in here. That needs to go away. Lots and lots and lots of... We'll see how these roses do this year, but it may be their last year. Again, if they blossom real weak, then And around this tree, tons of blackberries all over the place. And it just kind of continues that way out front of the yard. By the way, these junipers are ones that I cut back 4 or 5 years ago, so they look pretty nice on the top now. This group of junipers over here, that's probably 2 years old now. And that's growing back. Welcome back to the Redneck Garage. What we got going on today is we're working on our 2004 Buick, which both of these rigs got parked in the garage 3 weeks ago when we went to Denver. And the tire on this one has had a slow leak in it. When I got back, I decided I'm going to jack it up, take it in, get the flat fixed. However, being certified as a redneck, I picked a jack point that was not good for it. And you can kind of see what went on here. Careful where you pick your jack points, people. I think that would go without saying, but anyway, it bent this trailing arm. So today we're going to be replacing that. My bad. We'll get a new one in there, a straight one, without this little curlicue here. Let's get that going. All right, here's our part right here. And you can see this bend in there that's not supposed to be there. And one big bolt on the back holding it in. Drop 3 in the front, and then I'll take this one out, which is actually easier to drop the whole thing out and spin that out here. All right, pop that right off. And there's the animal. Okay, here's the new one. Just to give you a comparison, that's what it's supposed to look like. So there it is installed. And this, wow, this goes to the highest bidder. What do I hear? Welcome back to the Redneck Garage. We've been called out to the field today. And what we're doing is replacing the belt, long belt, on the mower deck. This belt is about 2 weeks old, is all. And this is what drives, it goes, takes off of the drive shaft of the engine and drives the mower deck. Runs around a couple of pulleys. There's 2 blades down there, 2 pulleys. And this belt would probably last for a few years instead of a few weeks if it weren't for the fact that I take the mower out of the yard. You can see in the barn trash there's another belt that just went in there right on top. So the trouble comes from trying to mow this kind of grass. The 3-foot tall variety out in the pasture. It's just not meant for that. And so I try to take it easy on the mower, put it in the very lowest gear, go very, very slow through there. Even taking, if possible, half swaths, but sometimes it binds the blades up or slows them down quite a bit, and that begins to wear on the belt with a lot of slippage, and before we know it, we toast a belt. You might have noticed this custom seat here. Worked real hard to get it in that condition, but we are thinking maybe it's time to look for a different seat. Stay tuned and see what we do about that. I have wondered if it's time for a newer mower, but the trouble with this mower is who it used to belong to. It's a little bit sentimental, okay, and it's still running, so till it poops out, what the heck. We're up in the forest taking our walk. And the witch's broom is out. Well, we got through another year of rototilling, and I'm never sure if I'm going to run it again this year or not, or if it's going to be till next year. But I always like to run the carburetor out of fuel, so the fuel doesn't gunk things up and plug the passages. The gas tank has a shutoff, which is really nice. I wish all the small equipment did that. There we go. And there's the garden, all rototilled. Down to 6 or 7 inches anyway, nice and soft. And now I may not get to planting for another week or so. I might run it through. Let's see how it feels in a few days. If it's still nice and fluffy, I might run it through one more time real quick just to soften it up again. But got the ground busted. Here we are back in the Redneck garage, doing another oil change. It's actually been only a few weeks since the last oil change, but we did take a trip to Denver in between and managed to rack up, I think, about 4,000 miles. And so it's time again. Here we go. Well, we're all leveled out and it's time to get this garden going. This nice till dirt. And today we're going to try something new. Well, new to us anyway. Beautiful color on this one. We're at the halfway point on our walk. Lots of iris up here. We're up here where the forest road crosses Gray Creek. And it is so stinking pretty here. Oh, and by the way, did I mention it's green? I love this clover. Great big leaf clover. And the road crosses the creek. Over here we got some, I don't know what these are. Really gorgeous. Lots more greenery. I always think this little Babbledy Brook coming down the mountain here is just, and the area surrounding it's absolutely stunning. Again, a lot more of that clover. Beautiful green carpets. Beautiful day. We're in the backyard today where we're doing a little reno. This part of our garden, I'm thinking is 20, 25 years old since Dad. The grass used to extend way out here straight and kind of be a square corner there. And he decided he wanted to put in a bit of a garden back here. And over the years, it's been survival of the fittest. And the fittest, in this case, has turned out to be the daylily. And that's what most of these are. Although I do have some calla lily just coming out now. I know one of our farm report watchers has this as their favorite flower. And so nice calla lily coming out. A rose that doesn't do too much. And another rose that doesn't do too much, but in all fairness, it's usually buried. And then this section here, which I should have took before pictures, but I just kind of went in and mowed it down. First I went in and dug up some lilies. Excuse me, iris. I went in and dug up iris bulbs and moved them. And there was a less bare spot, not a bare spot, but a less crowded spot over here. I put some of them over here, and I moved others to another renovation spot right over here. So we're gonna have, you can kind of see where the dirt's disturbed there. Not all the tops were left on. So, and then ahead of this, we're going to put some roses. So we've got some planting to do. We got 4 tomato plants and a pretty rhododendron. We like that color, so we picked that up. And then, I don't know, some knucklehead who will not be named, but whose name might start with an L, found the 50% off sale at Home Depot for roses. And so now I have 11 of those to plant. Whew. Lock and load.
pooty pants.
Suffering success.